This is my 65 GTO. You can see the obvious styling changes from 64 to 65. It has the stacked headlights, different grills, a hood with one scoop which could be made functional. It also has a different rear end display, but other than that, there's a lot of similarities from the cowl back to a 64. It's based on the same frame and the same chassis. But from here to here, the bodies are almost identical except the GTO is in a different location. That's about it. The color is reef turquoise with a black vinyl top and a black interior. It has, again, the Hurst wheels, which is kind of something I really have taken into. Okay, this car has a black interior, which is the popular interior in these years. It has the optional right-hand mirror. It has a 4-speed with the 4-speed gear shift knob because I like them. Originally it had a white one, which is in my garage. It has the console with vacuum gauge. It has the rally gauge package. It has a wood wheel and the tilt column. It's also got the flasher and it's got an AM radio. Also has the optional deluxe seat belts and floor mats. Again, this also has a dash pad, which was an option. So it's got quite a few options for a 65.
How about the pet in the back seat?
That's a life-size tiger. A friend of mine won this at the Big E when I had the car on display and gave it to me. I have 2 of them. The tiger was, a lot of people think it has to do with SO gas. It has nothing to do with SO gas. When Pontiac advertised these cars in 65, they had a GTO coming out of the hood and sitting in the interior. And in another shot, they got a 65, which I can show you the picture of, with a tiger laid out on the hood, which I managed to find. And I don't want to tell you how much money I paid for that tiger because it's ridiculous, but I wanted it. It's an original tri-power car with 4-speed. It does not have the original engine in it. I changed the engine to a 421 with a Royal Bobcat kit like the rest of my cars. And if you go in the museum, you can see the kit and you can see the boxes the kits came in. The actual boxes are now going empty, are going for huge money. Again, as I said before, this has a 421 4-bolt main with the 77 heads. It produces 376 horsepower. It has the optional tri-power and a very, very ram air pan. There's only 151 of those pans made as far as I can tell from the information I've discovered, and I have 4 of them. It also has the optional 67 ram air exhaust manifolds, and a lot of people like the little bottle. Matter of fact, it kind of irritates me in a way because they look at the bottle, not the ram air pan. The bottle costs 20 bucks, the ram air pan costs 1,500. So I like to show off my ram air pan. Once again, when I was young, I belonged to the Royal Bobcat Club, they called it, and I had a connection through a race car. Matter of fact, it was Don Gay's old funny car, and we came up into Pittsfield, and my brother-in-law worked for the guy who raced that car successfully, and I was able to get all this stuff at cost. And so I bought a lot of Royal Pontiac stuff, and I have a lot in the museum. None of it's in the car anymore because you couldn't run it on pump gas. But it had the thin head gaskets, the curve kit. If I remember right, this one only had the curve kit and the jets and the carburetor. But this motor really is a much better motor than the 3.9. It's got 4-bolt mains with a steel crank, and it was Pontiac's feature engine back in the early 60s. It dominated NASCAR for 3 years. It did very well. It's an icon for me to have a 421. This is another one of my 65 GTOs. I have a distinct like for them. I have 5 of them. This is the second one we're showing. It's painted blue charcoal, has a white vinyl top and a parchment interior. It's loaded with options, and one of the options I forgot to mention on the other 65 was the aluminum brake drums on the front. Those were the quote-unquote the best brake system you could get on a GTO in 65 and 66. They didn't have disc brakes until 67. Those brake drums today go for a lot of money, and they are very hard to find. The car is equipped with a 421 again, tri-power with ram air, and it has basically the same look to it as the other car. And I forgot to mention that when I rebuilt them, I also put the 44 cam in it, which was called the 67 GTO Ram Air Cam, to give the 421 even a little bit more power than it already had.
Good.
All right. As I said before, the color on this car of the interior is parchment. It is equipped with the optional seat belts, the dash pad, the wood wheel, tilt wheel. It's got the flasher. It's got the rally gauges. It has an AM/FM radio, which is very hard to find for a 65. And I also forgot to mention that this is a sports coupe, which means it's got the post. And that always confused me when I was young. I thought this was a hardtop because I figured that would be the hardtop. But no, this is a sports coupe, and the one with the open window is the hardtop. Hi, this is my third 65 GTO. It's a hardtop. It's painted Mayfair Maize with a black vinyl top and a black interior. This car has the correct 389 WS motor, unlike the other ones, but it also has Ram Air. Again, it has the aluminum brake drums with the Hurst wheels, the splitters, and quite a few options inside as well. Like some of the other 65s, it has the wood wheel, tilt column, rally gauges, AM/FM radio, the optional flasher. It has a rear defogger. It has the vacuum gauge in the console and the deluxe seat belts. And unusual thing, it's got a tissue dispenser with a Pontiac emblem on it. Okay, this car, unlike my other 65s, has the original 389 WS 360 horsepower tri-power motor. I did add, again, the Ram Air exhaust manifold from the 66s. And it's got the pan, the water bottle. It's got power brakes and power steering. And this one here, you can clearly see the 5N on the data plate, which signifies that it's a real GTO. But again, it doesn't mean it's not a GTO if it doesn't have the 5N. You're just going to have to get the PHS documents to prove it. Okay, this is my fourth 65 GTO and one of my favorites. This is the second car I restored. I've owned this car since the early 80s. As you can tell by its stance, it's an ex-race car. A gentleman upstate New York raced this car very successfully at South Glens Falls Drag Strip, where he was champion 2 years in a row. It has the 421 in it that he raced with it, because obviously he was cheating. And it had a 433 rear in it, which is not in it anymore. And you can still see underneath where the traction bars were. And I used the original race car, but I had to detune it quite a bit. And you can tell it had seriously hard miles on it. Unfortunately, he would not give me the back windows out of the car, which had all his wind stickers on it, which I really wanted, and he had 2 dash plaques on his dash that said he was a champion. I would have loved to have them too. But I was lucky to get the car with the motor, so which was out of it, by the way, and I ended up restoring it. I bought it for the color. It's the rarest color on a 65 GTO. No one liked it back then, but today I've shown this car to many people, and I think there's 5 or 6 replicas of the car now. It's made me well known in the local car show area. It's called Iris Mist. It has a black vinyl top and another parchment interior. This was actually in the Boston Museum of Transportation for 6 months and won the GTO Nationals and many other awards. This is another 421 that I had it detuned. I changed the heads to lower compression heads. I put the 068 cam in this 421. It's got the original Ram Air pan. Actually, somebody gave me that pan at a Pontiac national event, a good friend of mine who's now deceased, Frank Fuller, and that pan's worth some money. Other than that, it's got basically the same treatment as the rest of my 65s. It's got a parchment interior, which is like a white pearl. It has a console with a 4-speed, vacuum gauge, the flasher unit, the rally gauges, an AM/FM radio, which I added, and it's got the 421 Bobcat emblem on the glove box. No power steering, no power brakes, because supposedly that robbed horsepower, and it was built to race.